Hi, everyone. This is Amar. Can you all see me? Awesome. Okay, all right. So I'm going to just go ahead and kick off my presentation slides here. This is good that people are able to see me. Hi, everyone, once again. So I'm going to share my screen. So this talk is about tools and services for building a pipeline for VR and AR. So a quick introduction about me. My name is Amar Chitimalli. What I do is I'm a developer from San Francisco. I'm running a small indie game studio right here. Currently, we are focusing on mobile games specifically, but we're also building some experiments and experiences in the AR and VR space. So just a little bit quick background about me. I've been in the games industry for almost 14 years. I did my master's in game development, worked for companies like Zynga, Microsoft, and Big Fish Games. Some of the games you might have played that I've worked or contributed to are Farmville, Scramble with Friends, Trying with Friends. Yeah, I'm super happy to be here. So just to kick off, this is an overview of what I'll be talking in the next half an hour. Some concepts of VR, what actually is very important in VR space. I'll be giving a quick landscape of the current mobile and PC and console VR space, and where is the best place to start, and why I think Unity is the best place to start, and some other frameworks like Web VR, and challenges I'll be talking a little bit about more about our products and the challenges we ran while building for VR. So to kick off, the first thing you'll probably hear in the VR space is presence. If you're not familiar with presence, that's something you will definitely run into when you start getting your hands dirty with the VR development. So the first rule number one in VR is make sure you don't break the presence. So just to give some people who are not familiar with presence, what is presence is the fact that you forget that there is some kind of technology medium between the content and the user. You basically have to disappear or make the technology disappear between the user and the content. That's when a user is completely immersed into the medium and feels like he's part of the world that you're trying to present. And that is what is a presence in the space of VR. And typically, it's very, very hard to achieve. And there are 100 ways people are going to break it. So as a developer or as a designer, your primary goal is to make sure you don't break the presence. And we'll be talking about some more concepts in this space. So typically, there is a camera setup, there is a camera movement in VR, and then there's user interaction and user input. We'll be talking more about them in the next slides. But the current landscape in VR today is, so a friend of mine was asking yesterday, hey, Amar, I want to buy a VR device just to try it out. Where do I start? When I started answering his question, I realized how tough it is for somebody today, even today, after 1 or 2 years of VR, to just jump into VR and experience it. That's a very fair way to say it. But unfortunately, these are the options we have today. Obviously, China has more options, but like at least the US market, you typically start with a cardboard, which is pretty cheap. People are giving it for free. Yesterday, I was walking on the street and people were handing out cardboards just for a specific experience. If you see on the top right, there is a cardboard, and there is also like a pocket foldable device, excuse me, that probably cost you around $5 to $10, but and it works with iOS, Android, any smartphone that has a dual display support using cardboard ADI. And a little better experience in VR today is mobile VR, which is Google just announced its better version of cardboard, Daydream. But the challenges with this is you got to own a Pixel phone from Google, but they're also working with other partners. So it's still a challenge to just go ahead and buy a Daydream headset and expect that it's going to work on your other phones. So it's tightly controlled in terms of what it's going to work with. And obviously, Samsung Gear VR and the Facebook is one of Facebook and Samsung Gear partnered up in the Gear VR space, which is probably the biggest player in the mobile VR space right now. Again, the challenge is you got to own a Samsung device. We had luck. We were able to test our game that we built with the Deepone VR headset, which is from China, which is an all-in-one VR headset. It has pretty much everything inbuilt. It runs on Android. And Unity, if you're building on Unity, it works out of the box. And there are other players in the space. Then there's a high-end VR, which is for PSVR, HTC, and Oculus. Again, the challenges are either you have to have a console or you have to have a high-end PC. So coming back to the concepts of VR, if you are a developer or a designer or an artist or somebody who wants to be getting into the VR space, especially to make the content or be part of the development cycle, rather than just a user, this is something that you will have to understand at some level. You don't have to understand all the technical details, but you will be getting into this kind of these concepts pretty much at some point of time in the pipeline. So typically, when it comes to camera types, traditionally, if you look at the top right here, traditionally the rendering pipeline would be like you have vertices that are converted into fragments, and then they're processed into 3D objects, and then finally it will be output as a 2D pixel on the screen. This pipeline has been mastered over a couple of decades by all the graphic companies, and we are at a point where we have amazing frame rates on most of the mobile phones and consoles and PC. Now, what with VR, the challenge is this pipeline is not good anymore, because what we are trying to do in VR is like you have two different eye sets. Like we have two eyes trying to render two different screens. And going back to the presence, this is where one of the biggest challenge with all the existing hardware. So typically, as you can see, there's a left and a right eye. The processing power today is a big challenge for most of the hardware. And when you try to move your head really fast in VR, if the application is not properly optimized, you will run into a situation where there is a lag between the rendering and what you see on the screen, and you see the edges of the screen, and that's what kicks the user out of the presence experience. So again, the camera movement in VR is very tricky, where people have been using smartphones for almost 10 years for now, and they've got used to the fact of using touch controls. And but with VR space, the user has 360-degree freedom to look anywhere in the space. And for a content creator, it's a huge challenge in terms of design, technology, and storytelling, and for telling the user where exactly they are supposed to focus in the experience or in the game. So it's very interesting and challenging for the developer or the designer to explain and have the user feel what the designer is supposed to or the user is supposed to experience in the entire system. So then finally, the third biggest challenge that comes in is user interaction. In today's landscape, pretty much every device that I've showed you, none of them have like the best interaction. At the end of the day, it's all about interacting with the content. If most of the content that is static today, the videos, they don't need any interaction. But what happens? The first thing what you'll notice is like there is no finger tracking or hand tracking, and if the goal is to try to give presence experience for a user, which is the #1 rule, people naturally are used to using their hands, and most of these devices haven't thought about it in the very beginning because of technical challenges, but people have incorporated other ways to interact with the medium, which is traditionally not going to solve the presence that a user is expecting for a full immersive experience. So typically what you see today is something called gaze, where basically you are supposed to gaze at a specific object in the space, and the longer you gaze at it, it's going to take it as an input, like a click or touch. And Oculus just announced in their Oculus 3 Connect about the touch controls, where they have tried to maximize the user's fingers. As you can see at the top bottom right here, they're going to be released pretty soon. But based on some of the experts trying to review it, they feel it's definitely close to it, but it's not going to be a mass scale. Like I don't think you will be able to see this everywhere, because it only works with Oculus, and it only works with just the Oculus system on a PC. And you need to have this extra camera set up for tracking. So this is not going to be a mass scale, and this is not going to solve it on all the phones. There are other companies which are trying to solve this with infrared camera sitting on the head, in the forehead of the device. And when you look at your hands, so they're tracking the fingers and trying to give the developers and the content generators how to control with their hands. So this could be one of the interesting area that can emerge on a mobile phone. And probably in the next coming year, you will see a ton of Chinese manufacturing companies coming up with VR headsets that has the inbuilt hand tracking integrated into their headsets. So with that said, obviously, there are so many challenges with VR, and there are so many headsets in the market. So where do you, as a content generator or as an application developer, where would you start with, and what is the best and fastest way to get your hands dirty with VR and have something working? So I definitely recommend Unity 3D, which is a free tool that I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with it. In case you're not familiar with it, just in case if you're not familiar with it, Unity is a free app, free engine that pretty much takes care of all this challenges that you have interaction with camera, with the hardware, and the fragmentation in the VR space, and pretty much gives you like one single point of entry where as a developer or applicator, you can just focus on what you're supposed to build, and they do the heavy lifting for you. So the good thing is it works with mobile, it works with all the headsets pretty much, and they have amazing samples to begin with. And the community is just amazing. Like most of the community that you have around Unity is just mind-blowing. So, of course, one of the other advantages with Unity is they just started something called Unity Connect, where individual experts on specific areas can help each other and share their expertise, helping each other on their projects. And it's a very good place to begin. So I would totally recommend using something like Unity to start off with. Well, what's the challenges with Unity is you have to know C# programming. You need to know how to program a little bit. There are tools where you don't have to program. But in case you're wondering about I'm a web application developer, I know JavaScript very well, and what do I do if I am not a Unity programmer, or if I don't want to play around with Unity? Well, you have there is a new, if you have heard of the term called Web VR, this is a new platform or a new engine that's being developed on top of WebGL and HTML, mostly WebGL. So Mozilla Firefox has been kicking off and pushing mobile WebVR, and what WebVR is basically trying to use the mobile browser in the smartphone and the browser in a laptop. So that way, it's almost like a HTML5 application, but it's not using the HTML standard. Instead, it's using the WebGL, the underlying WebGL. But the problem it solves is you don't have to even have an engine, something like Unity or a plugin that actually has to run on the browser. And it pretty much uses the standards that are supported by HTML5 or WebGL standards. So as you can see here, the setup for a WebGL is expected to be like, let's say you have an application that is supposed to run in a browser. You simply use some of the JavaScript frameworks that are mentioned here. I will go into a little detail about them. And it is, if you go to their website called a framework, which is a JavaScript framework wrapper around 3JS, that is a 3D HTML5 rendering. You see some examples which are pretty much, as you can see here, I'm actually in the VR right now, and so you're able to design your virtual space right in the browser. And if the whole idea is at some point of time, you will be able to have the same content work on a mobile browser, but also work on a computer that has a camera and a setup where you can just plug into your USB and it's going to run out of your laptop. So I see this as the mass adoption, and this is where you will see like we are exploding to a huge mass adoption because everybody has a PC, everybody has a browser, and as you can see, Oculus just announced its own platform, its own SDK or language for React VR. They call it React VR, which is a JavaScript library for accessing web VR. Mozilla, Play Canvas, Unity, they're all working on web VR. So this brings me to what we are doing at FaunaFace with VR and AR. And so just to give about, just to jump into FaunaFace, like I said, we are a small indie studio with a gaming experience, especially in mobile and casual and social experience. So we wanted to jump into VR, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we still use our expertise in the area that we come from. So what we designed is a game that works both on VR and non-VR. So we obviously started with the smallest area of VR, which is cardboard. So the first game we launched is SmashWars Drone Racing, and we were, as you can see, we got a final nominate Indie Prize 2016. We were one of the 20 finalists at Global VR Challenge, which was conducted by Dipone, which is one of the biggest VR headset manufacturing company in China. So that's one of the manufacturing headsets that we are working with. So that's an all-in-one headset that uses, if you're building your game on Unity, it was fairly easy for us to make it work on that. And we are also one of the final top 20 indie games during the Google Play Festival that happened in San Francisco. So as you can see here, we have a game set up here. It works pretty much on, this is a Dipone headset here. This is a cardboard, and this is NVIDIA Shield controller. The game is supposed to be working on all the devices. So this is a quick overview of the game. What we are doing is trying to bring the fun drone racing. If you're not familiar with drone racing, the way drone racing works is a player uses a FPV goggles, which looks almost like a VR headset goggles that you sit at a remote place where you can fly drones, because you can't fly drones everywhere. You have to be in a specific location where it is permitted to fly a drone. Then you use the FPV goggle, and there is a camera sitting on a real drone, and you're in real time, you're looking at the feed that's coming from the camera. But the challenge is with that sport, which is emerging, which is supported by ESPN, and there are some championships happening across the world. in New York and Dubai. It's an emerging sport. It's designed for hardcore players. It's very expensive. You can't fly it everywhere, but it's a very fun, immersive experience that makes you like you're a bird. You fly everywhere. So we wanted to bring that experience and we see it as a perfect fit for VR as a medium. So with that as a challenge, what we're doing is we built a game around drone racing, but we wanted to make it much casual for pretty much anybody to play. So what we did was we designed a game that works on a mobile phone first with simple touch controllers and game controllers. It's free to play, but in the same game, there's a button where you press cardboard and you're literally in the VR space. So the challenges we ran, there are definitely some design challenges in the UI interaction that we ran into. We had some challenges with frame rate we ran into, as let me just play the quick demo here. So this is already in the Google Play Store right now. So you get the idea. The idea is basically you're flying a drone and you can actually go into FPV mode. So to minimize the issue of getting sick flying really fast, we have incorporated some safe zones around the scene here. You can see we have added some walls around it. There's a wall, there is a shadow, there is a sky, there is a reference. So you always, and the drone is always in front of you. And you feel like you have some kind of reference and you don't really feel that sick. We have experimented with many camera setups, and this is one of the best experience we have received from players. And again, like this is already in Play Store. So the other next thing I want to jump in is cross-platform multiplayer. So this is something that we are working on the next release. And like I said, we want people to connect from any device, and specifically in this medium. So with Unity as a tool that we are using, we are able to achieve this, and with very fairly easy setup. So this is a VR headset setup. Like it's pretty much the cardboard, the Google's Daydream, and the Gear VR from Samsung. And this is like the iPhone and the tablets from Android, and it's pretty much a smart TV, and the NVIDIA Shield controllers, like handheld controllers. So we are able to connect all these devices in a multiplayer experience and do leaderboards and challenges and just sharing scores in real time. And we are working on it. We're definitely making more improvements to it. This is something you'll see in the next release, but we are coming soon. And yes, of course, there is a lot of challenge. We had to, especially in the VR, we are optimizing and trying to rubber band the experience when you challenge other players, because flying in VR versus flying in touch controls versus flying in with the typical controller setup, it gives the players different advantages, and and we make it very clear that it's a fun challenge rather than like a real competition. Again, our goal is to give this experience of flying from any device, any medium, and connect people in that space. So one of the other experiments we are doing in the AR for the same exact game, this is more of an experiment that we are doing in-house, considering the future platforms like Google Tango and HoloLens is so as you can see, you can actually see the drone of the player in the in the space that you're already in. Again, the technology-wise, this is fairly easy to achieve using Unity and Euphoria plugins. There are some challenges on existing smartphones that we have today, but Google's Tango and things like HoloLens, we actually can understand the environment and the limitations of the physical environment around you. Let's break these barriers in the future, and we think this could be an interesting space to go with this specific idea that we have. The reason we are trying to do this is, again, drone racing. The most important part of drone racing is customizing the drone and understanding the elements of pieces that come together to build a drone. And this is more like an educational experience for players to understand, okay, what goes into your drone and how do you customize it and kind of touch it and see what happens when you open up something and modify something. And this is another experiment we are trying to do. Again, this is very, very super casual like a experiment we're doing in-house with this very simple game. Basically, you're building a tower using AR, and again, the target market we're going for, this is Tango and HoloLens. Again, the technology here is Unity and Euphoria. Pretty easy setup if you're familiar with these concepts. As you can see, let me just play the video here. It's like, I'll just show you like a little bit of the video here. So this is almost like a Jenga style gameplay, very simple touch. We're just experimenting with this to get AR to like a mass scale and a tabletop experience where you can just play it for fun and challenge people in multiple modes. I think this is going to be an interesting thing to see how it grows. Once again, like since we're getting close to the talk, so I keep mentioning about Unity 3D a lot. If you can see, these are some of the tools we use in-house. Mostly, we have our own backend, which is supported by PlayFab, Euphoria, Unity, Android, Google Play Store. This is fairly easy to start. I would definitely recommend you, if you're pretty new to VR, to jump into Unity. There's so much to learn from it. So many free tutorials around it. They have done an amazing job about connecting people through their community, and giving you some simple tutorials to just begin where to start from. So yeah, I think that's pretty much about my talk about what building a pipeline. Like, as you can see, what we have done in the pipelines is we have one backend that connects all these devices that I'm talking about, and we use Unity for all the mobile devices. And for the web VR, which we are just starting to explore, especially with the A framework that I talked about here, which I can show you a very quick demo of A framework, which I think I showed you the demo here. But yeah, if you can look at this specific thing, so this is a very interesting area to look into if you're a JavaScript developer. But otherwise, I'll leave it up to questions. And yeah, you can follow me here on Twitter, and you can also look at my LinkedIn profile and follow me. So I'll open up for questions now. Okay, so let me look at the questions that are being asked. So somebody was asking me how big is my team. So we are, like I said, we are a very small team. It's basically me and one more artist who helps me with UI, UX, and art direction. And we are trying to do this as a very small team right now because the gaming is so hard right now. Yes. Okay, what are the best third-party services you have used to help build your pipeline? Again, like as I mentioned in the talk, for a service, if you're trying to build a service which works on all the platforms, where you can have your user profiles managed, doesn't matter where it is, because today on the fragmented VR, you cannot rely on one system that's provided by the hardware. I've seen that challenges in the mobile space. Even though you use something like Google Play or Google Play services or the Apple's services, it's always good to have like some service that you can connect on all the devices. So we use PlayFab, which kind of has a plugin for Unity and pretty much all the other famous engines. So we are able to track all the users. And it also works from China. Like if you have users from China, we're able to track users from China as well. And for analytics, we use Facebook Analytics and Unity Analytics. Facebook Analytics is something I recommend to use. It's fairly easy. You don't have your players don't have to, or your users don't have to have a Unity account to get some data. Okay, SmashWars. Like, please tell us about your game, SmashWars. Like I showed, SmashWars is a game that we started as a very simple mobile game where we just wanted to have a endless runner kind of experience where you smash things, and it was originally not designed for VR. But once we launched it, and as the market changed so fast after we launched it, we saw a huge opportunity for this to be a VR title. So we started designing elements around VR. So currently it supports both, like I said in the talk, again, it supports both VR and non-VR. It's a cross-platform that works on iOS and Android. We intend to make it work on other OSs, mainly for China. But as a game, we are going for 3 huge markets. One is drone racing, but make it very simple and casual. One is esports, like multiplayer experience where you can challenge other people. And one is the FPV experience that we can achieve from VR. And AR is like an experimental component. That's something we might add in the later releases. That basically SmashWars is a drone racing FPV casual experience for your smartphones and TV. Yeah. Hello. All right, I think, so I was told that this presentation is going to be online to look at later. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn and send an email or send a tweet. I'll see if I can get back to you. So otherwise, download SmashWars from Google Play Store today and smash till you crash. Awesome. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys in one-on-ones, or have fun with the remaining of the conference. Bye.